Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of DSPN. A lot of things have happened since we last spoke, including the biggest thing that happened the night of this podcast going out last week was the NFL draft, where a lot of things happened, and one really funny thing that we'll get to last that I'm very excited to talk about. But the first one is the obvious: Cam Ward is a Tennessee Titan. That's going to benefit them a lot.
Yeah, but if he tries any nonchalant garbage in the NFL, he's going to get absolutely rocked behind that Titans O-line.
Yeah, their O-line is Swiss cheese.
Yeah, it's basically like running through an open door. Like, it's pretty hard to, not go through it.
I agree. So, the next one, the Jaguars traded up to the second pick.
Jaguars?
Dude, the Jaguars traded up to the second pick and got Travis Hunter.
Good.
That's gonna.
He's nice and flashy for the Jaguars fan base, I guess. I mean, he's.
What fans?
Well, you get a point. They don't really have many.
They're London fans.
Oh.
They're London fans.
When they're gonna move to London, I'm pretty sure that the British people will like them.
There's another thing on here later, and I guess we'll just talk about it now. Did the Browns screw up by trading out of that second pick?
They got a haul, and they got Mason Graham, who's no slouch, but you're passing up on Travis Hunter, so.
I guess we'll just get to that now. The Browns got Mason Graham and Quinshon Judkins.
I don't really see the point in drafting Quinshon Judkins, and also, I think, one more running back.
They did draft another running back.
I don't see the point in that, but okay, it's not my franchise to run.
I agree. I really like Quinshon Judkins, though. I hope he does well for himself. Will Campbell went to the New England Patriots, but
yeah, Will Campbell's a great pickup because they really need to protect Drake May, because if you don't protect your quarterback, then your team's gonna suck.
I agree. They definitely needed to go offensive line here.
I feel like with them not getting the number 1 overall pick, he was the best option. If they got the number 1 overall pick, they probably would have picked Travis Hunter to give him a weapon. But I could still see why they drafted Will Campbell. And he's an absolute unit, too. So I think he'll be a mainstay in the NFL for a long time.
The Raiders select Ashton Jeanty with the 6th pick.
That's a good pick.
A good pick. I've really liked Ashton Jeanty.
They've picked up a quarterback. Their receiving room isn't terrible, and
offensive line is.
They might surprise a couple. They might surprise some people. I feel like that they could go out and surprise some people and almost make the playoffs.
They're definitely not winning that division.
They could win 7 or 8 games. They could.
They definitely won't win that division though. With the Chargers and the Chiefs both being in that division.
Well, the Chiefs are the only real team that's going to win that division, honestly.
I know, but the other 2 teams in there are the Chargers and the
Yeah. Well, the Chiefs literally have the league on their side, so the world called for the Philadelphia Eagles to save the day yet again.
Speaking of the Eagles, Jahari Campbell is a Philadelphia Eagle.
It's a good pick. It's a good pick. I see Jahari Campbell just absolute unit in college, slid in the draft, and the Eagles picked him up. You could see I was awake for the draft pick. It was like 11:30. I was very tired the next day. But they traded up and drafted him, and I feel like that was a really good decision because it's about time that they draft a linebacker. They haven't drafted a linebacker in so long. I've been telling myself, and I've been saying, look, the Eagles need to draft a linebacker. I've been saying that for the past 8 years.
He's been saying that.
I've been saying that for at least the past 6 years.
Since they lost Jordan Hicks, I believe.
I've been saying that since the Super Bowl run, is that they need to draft a linebacker, and they finally did. But they draft a linebacker just as soon as they, re-sign a great linebacker. So I still like the pick. I still really like the pick, and Jahari Campbell is going to be great alongside Zach Bond.
And for most of our listeners who, as of right now, are mostly Bills fans, Hairston to the Bills.
I've heard some mixed opinions. I've heard very good things about them drafting him. I've heard people excited that they're drafting him, but I've also heard the exact opposite. I've heard that they've wanted other people. I've heard they wanted other positions, but I still feel like he was a good pickup.
Here's what I think. They definitely needed a corner, especially because of the fact we all know Tre'Davious White is going to get injured within the first 6 weeks of the season. Their defensive secondary is not the greatest.
No, their defense is not very good, and they did a pretty good job in the draft focusing on that by drafting secondary, by drafting an edge rusher. They really needed to improve in those areas, and I feel like that they did because they obviously decided to draft and go young and pay those guys little money to play on a good team, hopefully push them to the top.
I mean, that's what Bills fans have been hoping for. They've gotten so close every year, and then they get to the Chiefs and they can't do it. Why? Because sometimes
the NFL's on the Chiefs' side.
That, and also because sometimes their defense doesn't end up holding up.
But you know who did run into the Chiefs and beat them in the playoffs last year?
And their defense held up.
If I'm not mistaken, it was the Philadelphia Eagles who won 40-22, 40-6, honestly. They won 40-6 in the Super Bowl, and yeah, I can't complain about anything right now because the Birds won the Super Bowl.
And here's the pick I wanted to talk about because I think this is very funny. In the 5th round, at the 144th pick, the Browns pick the 5th quarterback on their team, Shedeur Sanders.
I don't think drafting Shedeur Sanders in the 4th round, 5th round, is that bad of a decision. What I do think is a bad decision is drafting your 5th quarterback. Your 5th. You traded for Kenny Pickett in the offseason. You signed Joe Flacco in the offseason.
And they drafted
Dillon Gabriel. I'm like, why did they draft Dillon Gabriel? It's stupid. They don't need 4 quarterbacks. And then they draft Shedeur Sanders. They're going to have to release 2 before the start of the season.
So who ends up as their 3 quarterbacks? Because they publicly went out and said that they would only keep 3. Now, obviously, there's no way they can't keep Deshaun Watson because they're paying him way too much money. They're not going to release him, and there's no way they're going to get rid of him because nobody wants to take that contract. So, obviously, Deshaun Watson's going to stay. But who are the other 2 quarterbacks, Mason, that you think stay?
You know, I think it's kind of hard to tell because Joe Flacco's like 90, and they just traded for Kenny Pickett in the offseason for DTR, but they still do have those 2 young quarterbacks. So I feel like that Kenny Pickett is going to be one to go. But I feel like the 3rd quarterback will either be Gabriel or Shedeur.
And who's the other one you think stays? You say Kenny Pickett stays?
I think Joe Flacco's going to stay. So I think it'll be Flacco, in no order. Flacco, Shedeur / Dillon Gabriel, and Deshaun Watson.
I feel like you can't take 2 quarterbacks not to keep at least one of them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, Kenny Pickett. I think you're gone.
Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett, by the way. He took snaps in the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship, and he's got big fat one of these Super Bowl rings right around his finger.
His tiny finger.
A big old Super Bowl ring for his little finger. So I can't really complain if I'm Kenny Pickett. I got traded to the Eagles, my childhood team, in the offseason. Played like 3 or 4 games, took snaps in the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl, and won the Super Bowl with my favorite team while technically contributing in the Super Bowl.
The next thing I wanted to say was, can Mel Kiper please shut up?
Yeah.
Oh, if you guys didn't watch the draft, Mel Kiper, every time a player was picked above Shedeur Sanders.
Well, I think they could have gone quarterback here. He's been saying he said that from the first pick of the night. Before the draft even started, they were showing Shedeur Sanders highlights. It says, Shedeur. Cam Ward is sitting in there taking a phone call from the Tennessee Titans as they're showing Shedeur Sanders highlights. Like, you can't make this up. Like, this guy's been nothing but, like, just oh, Shedeur Sanders, oh, Shedeur Sanders for the past,
Shedeur.
Month. And he won't even shut up about it when he didn't even get drafted the first 2 days of the draft. 2.
Dude, every time anybody was picked, Mel Kiper had a full-on meltdown. Every single time.
I think it's disgusting. I've never seen a guy like this on my board in 43 years be drafted anywhere different than where I put him. But this guy, I've never seen this sort of meteoric slide. It's probably because that guy's a chump. He's a Nepo baby. He sucks.
He's a jackwagon.
He's not that good. He's a Nepo baby. And the only reason why he got his number retired by Colorado is because Daddy's the coach. A nice 1 game over 500, 0-1 in bowl games. That is definitely number retired. But Travis Hunter, I could see number retired because he won the Heisman.
Yes, that.
But
they retired Travis Hunter's number, makes total sense because of the fact he won the Heisman.
Well,
under the NBA playoffs, the Cavaliers. We're only going to talk about the things that have already finished, the series that have already finished. The Cavs sweep the Miami Heat,
and they won by 55 in the final game. They won by 55 in Game 4.
Hey, Tyler Hero, what happened, bro? You said they weren't getting swept.
Swept.
You said you weren't getting swept.
Yeah, the Cavs manhandled them. That just shows that the Cavaliers are a real team until they have to play a team that actually knows that they're playing basketball sometimes.
And then the Thunder swept. We all saw that coming.
We all saw both of those possibly happening, so yeah. Nothing too surprising.
Next thing is Nick Nurse on the hot seat as our resident Sixers fan.
Yes. A lot of fans are displeased with him.
Are you?
I didn't watch enough Sixers basketball this year to do that. I didn't care that much enough about Sixers basketball this year to do that. I was watching the Flyers suck.
Jared McCain.
At least the Flyers had Michkov to keep me happy.
They had
Jared McCain got hurt. Michkov didn't. He just got benched.
We love you, Jared McCain. And now on to the NHL. Since none of the series have finished, we'll just talk about some of the highlights. Landeskog scores his first goal in the past 3 years.
Dude, him coming back from that injury, him playing on the injury was insane, but him coming back from that is just absolutely
tell people what happened, by the way.
Obscene. So he had a knee injury, and he had to pretty much replace his entire knee, and had to learn to walk again, had to learn to skate again, and basically had to relearn how to walk and play hockey, and was able to make it back to the National Hockey League and score in a playoff game. I find that absolutely insane.
And when your first goal is a playoff game in 3 years, that's got to feel amazing.
Yeah, the last time he scored was the Stanley Cup final, like when they won it. So that's pretty insane.
And, however, speaking of injuries, Logan Thompson.
Him coming back was crazy.
Did you? If you guys didn't see it, his own player ran into him, and he got elbowed to the face, skate to the balls.
It was basically like a car accident.
Yeah.
Like, it was basically like he got hit by a small car. And he was able to come back. And he played the next game after getting basically hit by a sedan. Like, it was crazy that he was able to come back and win the next game.
I really hope the Capitals do well because I really like Ovechkin as a player and I really like Logan Thompson.
I kind of hope that they also do well, but I also want to see Montreal win the series. It also kind of pains me to see Demidov do well for Montreal because you know where he could be right now?
Philly.
He could be on the Flyers. He could be. You know, they could have drafted him. They should have drafted him. But
and you're not salty about that at all.
Drafted Jet Luchenko, who's playing in the playoffs for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, but
you're not salty about this at all, are you?
He had a good season in the OHL, but Demidov had a good season in the NHL. So.
And you're not.
No, not at all.
They made the right pick.
Danny Briere's cooking. Danny Briere, Monday, Danny Briere is going to win the number 1 overall pick for the Flyers.
That's not happening.
Yes, it is.
So onto our baseball. Eugenio Suarez hits 4 home runs in a game.
That was crazy.
That's insane.
And it's not like Aaron Judge. It's not like Shohei Ohtani, Bryce Harper. Like, not any of the big names, it's like Eugenio Suarez. Like,
Who does he play for?
the Diamondbacks.
And where are their fans? Other than Warren. Shout out Warren.
They don't really have any, to be honest.
The next thing I wanted to say, speaking of hitting the ball, the Phillies finally figured out how to hit the baseball against the Chicago Cubs.
Yes, they dropped the first game after getting absolutely squashed. But they were able to win back the next two. And, they won the series. That's for you, John.
Kumar Rocker is also on IR. Pitcher.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
All I know is
He's going to be ending up on the Hall of Pretty Good sometime soon.
all right, and now on to our last two topics, one of which is a sports one, and the other one is a debate that's been pretty heavily talked about recently, especially online and in our school. Mason, you know the debate. The first one, which is our actual topic, Wrexham, who you may know as the team that Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds bought, have been promoted to the EFL Championship, which, if you're not familiar with European soccer, Mason will explain it for you.
So, when those two guys bought Wrexham was here. And, there's a line here that is what people call the Football League, right? There's a line here of the EFL. And all the way up at the top is the Premier League with Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, all the big teams. Biggest teams in England play there. That's the top flight. Wrexham was here. And then if they won promotion in their second season with the new ownership, so they went up to here, League 2, which is in the EFL now. It's in the Football League. And then they won promotion again to League 1, which is where they're playing this year, but they got promoted, so they're going up to the Championship. And the Championship is right below the Premier League, where all the big teams are playing. So if they get promoted again, they're playing against the biggest teams in
England
and even the world. Like, they're playing against some of the biggest teams in the world. Like, I could walk down the street right now, not literally, but I could walk and, order something. I could buy something from Dick's, and it could be a Chelsea jersey or Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool. It could be one of those jerseys
Wrexham
of the biggest
could be
team
up there
in the sport. And little old Wrexham from Wales could be up there, which I find pretty cool.
I really hope Wrexham get up there. And, could you imagine the scenes that would happen if Wrexham made the Premier League?
Yeah, it'd be crazy.
That would be insane. And I would watch every game, and I would probably support them just as much as I do Man United.
They might be the new team. Manchester United,
they might have a similar record.
They're pretty bad.
They might have a similar record, but we can root for Wrexham.
If Wrexham goes up and Man United goes down, I guess I'm a Wrexham fan now.
All right, and now on to our final topic, which is not very, before we get to the player game and bum of the week, that isn't sports related. So there's been a debate going on social media and in our school. Will 100 regular, average Joe, John Smith guys
Shout out John Smith.
beat up one average silverback gorilla?
An angry silverback gorilla versus 100 average Joes. Give me the gorilla. It's a freaking silverback.
I think you could...
The first 8 guys to go against a silverback are going to get teeth straight to the face, and they're going to... Right there. This is someone's head, and this is the gorilla. It's going to crush it like a gourd. It's going to crush their head like a gourd. No remorse. It's going to split. Yep.
As I was saying before our camera died, I think that the 100 guys could take the gorilla.
Because you're an idiot. Because you're a buffoon, and you don't know what you're talking about.
Here's why, right? I think you could, you could tire the gorilla out.
Nope. It's a silverback, lives in the jungle.
2, you swarm it.
Nope. It's a silverback, and you can't do that.
If you have 100 guys, you're bound to do something.
Oh my god.
If you
a gorilla can run at 25 miles an hour, right? It can run at 25 miles an hour. It's huge. It can lift 1,300 pounds.
I think...
It has the bite force of, it could bite through like a car, bro.
Dude, I think if you were able to gouge out the gorilla's eyes...
Not happening. The teeth.
If one guy can gouge out the gorilla's
He's
eyes,
not gonna.
you would be able to beat this gorilla.
But they're not gonna be able to.
Yes.
Because he's gonna bite people.
There's 100 people, Mason.
Okay, 100 people. What is 100 people gonna do?
100 people can do a lot, bro. You could easily distract it.
Oh my God! You're not gonna distract a gorilla when it's freaking bloodthirsty.
Listen, you take all the small people like you, and put them.
I'm taller than you.
You put all the skinny people.
All right, we're done with this. We're gonna end the podcast right now because this is stupid. I'm gonna go fight Donovan off camera.
All right.
I don't have a player game bum of the week.
Yes, you do.
My player of the week is the gorilla. My bum of the week are the 100 men, and my game of the week is the gorilla versus 100 men.
All right. So my player of the week, I'm gonna give it to Landeskog. I feel like that's
Gabriel Landeskog deserves it.
The game of the week, I'm gonna give it to Game 4 of the Cavs versus Heat because my Cavs won by 50.
Literally.
And then, last but not least, I'm going to give my bum of the week to Shedeur Sanders.
Yep.
So anyway, that is going to do it for our episode today. Mason's crumpling it up. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow wherever you
subscribe, do whatever you want. I don't care.
That'll be it. We'll see you next week.
And by the time we come back, the Flyers are going to have the #1 pick in the 2025 NHL draft.
They won't.
Watch, pal.